Hey everyone, this is Adam. I am a comic book writer here, kind of showing you through the behind the scenes of the making of my comic book, Island of the Lost. Today, I want to go through my outline in detail. I mentioned before, for me, it's really helpful to have an outline. And I think for a lot of people, they maybe push away from doing an outline, but I imagine if they actually try, they might really get a lot out of it. So I wanted to provide a little bit of guidance, at least on how I approach it. And to be honest, like my outline approach has changed a lot, and it's always kind of changing, and it actually depends on the story too. Like this outline is a little bit different than ones I've done in the past because this story is really character driven, and I have a lot of main characters. Actually, the idea is that each issue, for the most part, is a different character's point of view. So for this one, I really have to dive into backstories and details of a lot of different characters. So that's a little different than usual. So what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to just kind of cater your outline to what story you're creating this time. Don't be afraid to try new things, add new things. It's not going to hurt you at all to add too much to your outline. So go ahead, try it out. And if you don't like it, you're like, yeah, that didn't really help me, then don't do it next time, right? So I just wanted to walk through what the outline looks like for this project, at least at this point. And I will say it's not like this outline is done. This outline is constantly being, worked on. I'll always, keep going back to it, add stuff once I get to certain points. Like at this point, really, this outline is just helping me get through the first issue. Once I get to the other issues in the series, I'll need to add a lot more. I'll need to come back and start putting, more scenes in for those issues. So like this is not, I didn't make an outline for my entire series yet. Eventually, once I'm all done, it will be. But right now, let's just focus on the first issue. So that's I wanted to make that clear. That might be helpful. And then yeah, well let's just jump into it. So first off, I just have a quick story summary, just a decent sized paragraph, just reminding the overall bones of the story. And it's just not like super important because obviously I know the story pretty well. But if you're sending this to an artist who they might want to just understand fully what story they're trying to tell, this is helpful and they'll need this. It'll be the easiest way for them to always go back to, oh wait, what's the idea here? So not super necessary, but why not have it? It's already in your head, so it's good just to have in writing. And then I feel like once you kind of write it out, you'll just get a better understanding of what story you're trying to tell. So I can read mine just as an example. So I have a group of people who've hit rock bottom from mistakes, crimes, addictions, and bad decisions have an opportunity to gain a second chance at life. They've all been brought to a desert island to compete in a deadly game of survival. The first player to kill their target or be the last one standing will have all of their problems swept away and be allowed to start a brand new life. Will the players gain insight on themselves to undergo a necessary change, or will they fall into the old patterns that ruined their lives in the first place? So pretty simple, but that's my story in a nutshell. Next thing is theme, and we talked about theme before in another video. I really am saying to you right now, theme is very important to have locked in as solid as possible. And I said it before, it doesn't have to be one sentence, the theme. I actually have 4 here. So I won't go through these because we already kind of went through theme extensively, but this is important to have kind of on the top of your outline to always go back to, everything beyond this point. You're going to want to be referencing this, and when you're writing your script, you want to keep go back to this to make sure you're not forgetting about your theme as you're writing it, because sometimes we can just write. Oh, that's cool, that's entertaining, that's fun, but is it tying into the overall story that you're telling? Well, look at your theme and you'll be able to tell. Next thing is characters. So I think it's really important to flesh out your characters as much as possible, because I find when I write without this in my outline, my characters are just kind of dull and basic and kind of boring, and there's no sort of personality or character to them, really. Um, so I find the more information about who they are, their personality, their backstory, um, the it's just ingrained into me when I'm writing those characters. I'm like, oh wait, no, I wanted them to be, in this case, this, the example I'm looking at, I wanted them to be negative. Okay, so like, I want to make sure that and kind of like representing that in the things that they're saying, in the dialogue that they're saying. This person is not like, oh, happy-go-lucky. They're kind of negative. They're kind of like get down on themselves and that sort of thing. So the more you flesh this out, the easier it will be to write dialogue and to write basically like character motivations, what they do in each situation. So breaking this down a little further, what I have here, each aspect of this. The first one is descriptors. So that's really more physical descriptors, just understanding, getting a good visual image of what I want the character to be in my head. Again, this can change, and it does often change. Sometimes I might even change gender of person. There's a few characters on this that I'm like, I don't know what gender or even what ethnicity I want them to be for sure. I'll write something in now because it's just better to write something and have something in your head. You can always go back and change it if you decide, I want to do something different. So mainly character physical descriptions here. In this story, one thing that is important is each kind of like character has a little bit of an archetype, or I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but they have kind of, the one thing about them that has really kind of ruined their life. So, for Marcus, who is one of our main characters, I mean, he's the main character in our first issue. He's an alcoholic. So I put that here. It's not a physical descriptor, but it's just an overall descriptor of really something that, unfortunately defines him at this point, and hopefully he can break out of that, and maybe that won't define him in the future, but right now it does. So just descriptors. That's just what I did. You could just do physical. A lot in my other stories, I kind of just keep that to physical, but this one was a little bit different. Then I have personality. Again, just words or short phrases about what their personality is. So I have addictive, obviously, addictive personality if you're struggle with alcohol or addiction or anything like that. So very negative. Again, this one, I just wanted him to be kind of like, maybe somebody who kind of just like complains about his situation a lot. I just thought, I don't know, in my head, that's just what the character would be. Always seems mad. So yeah, have a bit of like an anger issue. Always complains. I actually, reading this back, maybe I wrote these down, and then maybe I backed away a little bit from like the always complains. Like, maybe, I mean, it's in there a little bit, but whatever. There's no point in getting rid of it. But that's just, it doesn't have to be perfect. These are just the first things that come to your head. And if it turns out not to be the character, then don't do it. Just ignore it. Thinks the world's out to get him. Yeah, those are, again, these things are there, but not, maybe some are not as strong as others. Then this is another good one. I have strength, like the biggest strength they have and the biggest weakness. So strength, just like extremely smart, like a very smart person, individual, just very like, clever, cunning, can put things together, can figure things out, right? And then the weakness would be the addiction and anger. So that's all here. So again, just like helping yourself, like, oh, and again, these just help in this situation. Would this person be able to figure this out, right? Well, yeah, his strength is he's really smart. So yeah, he'll be able to guide others in helping solve puzzles or whatever it is, whatever the situation is. And then I have a backstory. So this is really the meat and potatoes of this, I suppose, is just like, again, it's just a paragraph, small paragraph, and these sentences are just very kind of like, they're not, I'm not writing them to be like script or dialogue in the story. It's not a novel. It's just brief information. Like, it doesn't matter. The grammar doesn't have to be proper, whatever it is. So for Marcus, I put alcoholic father who was not there for his daughter, Jessie, and has anger issues. Like, it's not even hardly an accurate or like a good sentence. It's not a good sentence at all. It's just information. He treats his wife poorly, and they get divorced, sending him into a spiral. Yeah, that's kind of the start of his backstory. There's more to it there that I have whited out, but that's in general kind of the idea. And then I have these whited out as well because they're, again, spoiler. But I have the next things are story arc and conclusion. So yeah, story arc is just basically the kind of like idea of like, well, we kind of have an idea from all this that we already went through where he's starting, but where do I want him to end, right? Where is his character gonna go, right? It doesn't always have to end positively, right? You could go negative. Maybe he just gets worse, right? Characters do that all the time, and that's fine. He just has to have an arc. I just have to know where I'm going because, again, that will inform all of the decisions that happen before that. So story arc, just probably just one sentence there. And then conclusion, just kind of like, what is the final conclusion for this character? What happens to them, or what happens to them that really puts the stamp on, well, that's the end of his arc, his story, that sort of a thing. So that's why it does as well, but just, kind of one, maybe two sentences, doesn't really matter, however long you need. So that's an example of character. So as we kind of go down, I have all the other characters here. So businessman, Japanese, male, 50s, workaholic, selfish, cold to others, only focused on personal gain, greedy, always wants more than what he has. These are just, literally everybody. And most of them at this point have names. But even if you just put a descriptor, like I started with just like this one here is just wife killer, which I know it's dark. It's a dark story, guys and gals. But so yeah, you don't need a name. If you didn't come up with a name yet, whatever, that's fine. This one I just have homeless person, and some of these are I actually not completed yet because maybe their storyline is smaller, or maybe they're later in the issue, so I don't feel like I haven't gotten to them yet, basically. But anyway, so that's that. After character, plot. I mean, it's just the title I use. It's not really plot. Honestly, this is more scenes, but it is what it is. So for this one, yeah, I just have issue 1 here. So I have just like, bullet points on basically scenes. I'm just writing out all the scenes that I have in my head for issue 1, and I'm realizing I need to maybe not show that for spoilers, but yeah, these are just, quick little explanations of things that happened in each scene. And I even have played out like put on the page number. So this page number thing is something I'm trying out. And I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, or if it's worth doing, basically. So I kind of tried to map out the page count in my head, but as I'm writing, I'm already writing the script, and I know that it's not right. So like some scenes go longer than I had in my head, and that's okay. At that point, I go back and switch it. But it's nice to have an idea of like, okay, well, I got this many pages left. Maybe I need to make sure this scene is only 2 pages opposed to 3 or whatever it is. So just knowing that, keeping an eye on that is kind of been helpful. But that, obviously what I guessed at first was not accurate, and it will keep changing. So yeah, that's kind of what that is there. Just really writing out every scene that you have in your head. And then this is a new thing too that I kind of did for this, because again, I just thought it was important to map out. It was just the issue structure. Basically, yeah, what I have issues 1 through 6. I don't know if it's gonna be 6. I don't know if it's gonna be more than 6. But right now, this is kind of just what 6 is that easy number that people for story arcs in long series, it's just kind of a 6 is a usual common thing. So that's what I started with. But honestly, I feel like to tell a story right, I might need more. But it really just depends on if I'm gonna have enough funding or whatever to actually make that many issues. Maybe I don't, and I have to make less. So right now I just did 6 just to keep it easy. And this is just basically for this story to tell me whose point of view it was, basically. So yeah, first issue is Marcus's point of view, and then an intro to the game, right? And then we kind of go, yeah, just basically just a perspective. So that might be helpful for you. I don't know. It just depends on your story, but just like mapping out, like, what is this issue gonna tell me? What happens in this issue? Like, again, this is more perspective based, but you could say, you know, issue 2, I need to do this and provide this information. Those are my main goals for that issue, and that sort of thing. It'll just help you map out like how many issues it's gonna be to tell the story that you want to tell. So anyway, so this is kind of what I have for my outline. The other thing I want to say about outline, don't feel like you have to have everything on this before you start writing. I would be lying if I said I finished this outline before I started writing. It's just not true, because I just was like excited about the story and I wanted to get into the script. I had, you know, some stuff in the outline, but not much when I started writing. But that's okay. I just wrote that first scene just to get it out of my head. And then I came back to the outline, and then I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to start introducing a bunch of characters, so I need to write that out and make sure I know who my characters are. So again, it's a constant back and forth between writing and the outline, and then going back to your outline and adding things, changing things, writing a little bit again. Oh, I got an idea for a scene, I'm going to put that in here. Like, you don't have to write your full outline right away. It's more of a tool to keep going back to as a reference and as a way to map, you know, your plan forward and where things are going to go. So that's how I approach outlining. I am curious what other people do for outlining. If they don't do outlining, I think you should try. If you don't, but maybe you don't like it, and that's great too if it works. And then, but yeah, what do you guys do for outlining? And let me know if this video was helpful. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.